Hello, everybody. Today I'm going to talk about the composition of functions. So that's when you have one or two or three or four or as many functions, and they are put inside of each other pretty much. And so if you try to use one of them, you have to use the other one inside of that one. So it might sound a little confusing, but I'll start showing some example problems that might make it a little more obvious what I'm trying to say. So right here we have a function r and a function s, okay, and they have x's as their variables. So r of x, s of x. And what they want us to do is find s of r of 2. So that means if you look on the inside of these parentheses, we have r of 2, and then outside that we have s. So really this is saying, what is, if I plugged in 2 into this function, it'd be r of 2. And then if I took that function with a 2 in it and then plugged it into the second function, the s function, then I'd have s of r of 2. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with the inside here, r of 2. So, sorry, my parentheses were not very great. So if I have r of 2, that's going to mean that I have my function r, but instead of the letter x, I'll have the number 2. So now I have r of 2 equals negative 2 plus 1. So now I'm going to solve that a little bit further. Simplify that. Negative 2 plus 1 will be negative 1. So now I have negative 2, or r of 2 equals negative 1. So now I'm going to plug that into s. So now I have s that has r of 2. All right. So now I'll plug in negative 1. Oh, you know the parenthesis there. Negative 1 in here for s. So wherever I see the variable x, I'm going to plug in negative 1. And there we go. So now instead of 2x squared minus 1, I'll have 2 negative 1 squared. So what I'll do from here is I'll square that number, and I'll have 2 times negative 1 squared. That'll be positive 1. 2 times 1 minus 1. So that'll be 1. 2 times 1 is 2. 2 minus 1 is 1. So now I have a positive. You didn't have to watch me write that a bunch of times. So this is now s of r of 2 equals 1. Okay. So what they want you to do for these ones specifically, they're going to ask you for using these couple functions, plug in a number into the inside one, then whatever you simplify that to, plug that number into now the outside one. Okay, you kind of go by layer by layer. When you're thinking about these layers, don't go from outside in or left to right, go inside out. So if 2 is on the inside there, that's what we're replacing with our x value in the first function, r, we'll get an answer, and then in that function, s. Okay, so we're also going to be working on are problems like this. And they look a little bit different here. Same, we have two functions again, but we have w of u and u of w. So these actually mean the same thing, but they have a different way of writing them. There's kind of two different ways. I usually use the first way that we did on the last problem. That's kind of my preferred way to look at it, but sometimes people like it like this. So if you go through the explanation, it kind of shows the same thing here. F of g can be written this way, or it can be f of g. So whatever letter's on the front there will be the outside. And the second letter, that'll be the inside one. So that means on this first one, we want to plug in 4 into u, then plug it into w. On the second one, plug in 4 for w, then plug in that answer into u. So we're going to have two different answers at the end. Okay, f of g of x and g of f of x. All right. So I won't show the answer. I'll go back here. So now I'll have two different colors. I'll do the first one, w of u of 4. So use the inside one. That's what we're going to start with. So now u of 4. U of 4 is going to be 2 times 4 minus 2. That bit 2 was pretty big. So now I have u of 4 2 times 4 is 8. 8 minus 2 is going to be 6. So now I have u of 4 equals 6. So now I got to plug that in to w. So now w of u of 4 will be 6 plugged into w. So now I have 6 squared plus 2. Yeah, it looks like a little letter B. Curve it up a little bit. Oh, perfect. So now this will be 6 squared will be 36 plus 2. So I'm kind of running out of space down here below, but it should be 38. Okay. So w of u of 4 will equal 38, which will be the first one. So now we have this first one equals 38. And I'm going to switch colors. I'll go green. And now I'm going to do the second one. So I'm going to find out what the second one's equal to. So this one we're going to start with w. So now we're going to start w of 4. And w of 4 is going to be 4 squared plus 1. So w4, 4 squared is 16. Plus 1 is 17. All right, now I got to plug in 4 for w for u. So now u is going to be on the outside. U of w of 4. So now we know this is 17. 17 is going to go in for u. So now it's going to be 2 times 17 minus 2. Well, 2 times 17, that's going to be 34. 34 minus 2 will be 32. So now 32 should be our answer over here. So with these problems, when you plug them in, depending on which function's on the outside or which one's on the inside, you'll get 2 different answers. So you got to make sure that if you ever see a problem written in this notation or the first notation, which kind of looks like how I wrote it here, that you're plugging in going inside out. And hopefully if I did all my addition and multiplication right, here we go. 37 and 32, what? How did I get 37 here? So 32 was right, that's good. My blue one I messed up on. Did I? U is 2 times 4 minus 2. 2 times 4 is 8 minus 2 is 6. Okay. Oh, it's plus 1. Where'd I get? Oh my goodness. I put plus 2 here. And that's why. Got to go back. Got to use my blue pen. This is supposed to be plus 1. Actually, I'm going to write it. Kind of highlight it with pink as well. Plus 1. And now this is going to be over here. Plus 1. Plus 1. And then this shouldn't be 38. It should only be 37. I wonder how many of you guys were noticing that as I was doing this problem. You might have seen it as I rewrote it. Might have said, oh, Mr. Copeland, isn't that supposed to be a plus 1 over here? So almost did it all right. Just got to make sure to be careful about when you're writing down the problem. You don't make the same mistake that I did. Hopefully you learn from my mistake. So now we have 37 and 32. Okay.